It is summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, so I've been outside at the beach, and what I have been seeing is super interesting, especially as someone who loves marine biology. Technically, I first saw them in the spring, but it was the first time I went to the beach this year, and I saw these plastic-looking things. And now, at first, I thought they were just like the tops of the orange cups, you know, the ones you used to eat as kids. Sometimes they had peaches too. They're like really good. I should low-key get some. But upon further inspection, that is not what they were. Then I was high-key a little grossed out. I was like, fuck, are these condoms? Again, not what they were, thank God. If you are at the beach and you're littering condoms, you're just weird as hell. But this didn't answer my question of what they were. I'll give you a hint. They're an animal, and I'm covering them today on digital bestiaries, so tap in. So what are they, and why are they suddenly everywhere in California, and especially the Bay Area? These things are scientifically known as Velella, or just commonly known as Velella or sea rafts. And that took 2 Google searches really, and they're pretty small. They rarely get bigger than about 3 inches. And so if you're not really looking closely for them, you are not gonna see them. One of the many reasons to be off your phone when in nature, unless you're watching this video, in which case you're so valid for that. The parts that we see on their beach are their clear sail that they use to float in the water. Because they can't actually move on their own, they rely on the wind and currents to move. They're a type of zooplankton, which is an interesting thing to think about because we say plankton, we like to think of like things that are like so small we can barely see them. Fun fact. Hi, I'm Simi Marco. This is Digital Bestiaries. Like, subscribe, hype the video. You know what to do. I just started classes and I'm doing multiple videos a week. It's insanity, but there's more to come. It's gonna be worth it, I promise you. I'm in this video not gonna get into their taxonomy or evolutionary history because it is just not clear enough and I don't have access to enough articles to be finding it. And related to their weird taxonomy, are they related to Portuguese man-o-wars? Are they more like just their own thing? What's going on with them? Nobody knows. Is there like physiologically how they exist, right? And so the old view is that they were kind of a colony of polyps, right? And so this one individual organism was actually many organisms, and it would have like one central kind of mouth polyp with reproductive polyps surrounding the mouth polyp, and then like the tentacle fringe polyps on the outside. And the tentacle polyps have stingers, which hurt, which is true. They do have stingers. However, now we don't really think that anymore. It seems like that model might be outdated. Hasn't been a lot of stuff that I could find on this. But with that being said, it's cool. They are now considered a highly modified individual hydroid polyp. And what that means is that basically instead of there being a bunch of individuals that forms one like visual individual, it's actually just one individual. And obviously that changes how they reproduce, but their reproductive system is similar to jellyfish in that they have alternate generations between Medusa and polyp stages. But despite the visual similarity between jellyfish and Velellas, they're actually kind of distinct depending on where in the world you find the Velellas. As they have a fairly wide distribution across the Pacific, their sails can actually be found in alternate directions, corresponding to the winds. And this is a genetic difference similar to being right and left-handed in that population can kind of have both. But the interesting thing about that is that it often can split the population into 2 groups when the wind pushes one like angle of sail one way and another angle of sail the other way. And you might be wondering, if the sail was weird enough of a texture to make me think that it was a condom, what is it made out of? And to be honest, it's not that similar to a condom, but their sails are made out of a really cool material called chitin. And chitin is found in many things, most commonly found as the cell wall material for fungus, but also very important in the makeup of arthropod shells. So like think about crab shells, very chitin. Everything's a crab! The Velella is carnivorous, and they do feed on things as large as small fish, which is bigger than I was expecting, but it's mostly on general zooplankton, and they feed with a mouth that's kind of in the center of their body. We talked about their anatomy a little bit earlier. And they supplement this diet with the photosynthetic microalgae called zooxanthellae. They do have predators. They're mainly just the local mollusks. So why did I see them in these videos, and like why are so many of them in the Bay Area right now? Being completely transparent, Those videos are from Mendocino, not the Bay Area, but I was just at Ocean Beach like a week ago, and there were hella Velellas at the beach a week ago. So the high numbers that we're seeing in the Bay Area currently are linked to the ongoing El Nino event. El Nino is described as the warming of the ocean surface or above average sea temperatures in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. Now, this has so many ecological and physical kind of effects. It messes up the whole biosphere. It does happen somewhat consistently, and we're not sure if climate change is actually speeding it up, although it's highly likely because climate change is fucking everything up. And you definitely expect a higher average temperature would lead to higher average ocean temperatures, which would mean more El Nino events. Anyway, we know that in warmer waters, Velellas do better, and there's a few reasons why, although we're not completely sure what's the biggest. Warmer water, and especially El Nino events, change wind patterns, so we might just be seeing more being washed ashore right now. However, Velellas are adapted to warm water habitats, and so they will obviously be doing better when the water is warmer because it expands their habitat. We are currently seeing kind of a similar thing happen with great white sharks. We're seeing a lot of great whites in the Bay Area due to El Nino. And if you want to learn more about sharks, you better subscribe, because Shark Week, we're doing 7 videos, okay? This is another subplot. That's 3 and a 5-minute video. Lock the fuck in. And you might think El Nino events would lead to more zooplankton and photoplankton, but it actually leads to less for a few reasons that I'm not going to get into right now because I don't have time, but I'll definitely do a separate El Nino video, probably about 10 minutes, so we can really get in depth. But big picture is El Nino decreases upwelling, which causes less nutrients to be cycled in the water, which leads to a decrease in biomass. However, because of their symbiotic relationship with the microalgae, remember we talked about that like 10 minutes ago, it's coming back. That allows them to do better even when other creatures are doing worse during the El Nino event. But overall, they're a really cool species that hopefully you enjoy learning about. And now next time you go to the beach and you see some things, you're gonna know not to freak out and think there's like a giant freak off on the beach. Think about all the other useful stuff you could learn by subscribing to Samid Marco. God, it's like endless. Anyway, like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, hype it on mobile, that's super helpful. And if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll go record some live Velellas, and if it's like ecologically responsible, I'll try and get stung by one. And you can check out the other digital bestiaries here. You can learn about pride fish here.